What intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point.
Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. Who in the intelligence community said that?
Your director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
She's wrong.
This is a bomb. This is a fuse.
They take about 30 minutes to reach their target. So do theirs, right?
Missile warning, this is V0L. Confidence is high. I repeat, confidence is high. Roger, we've got 32 targets in track and 10 impacting points. I want to confirm, is this an exercise? Roger, copy. This is not an exercise.
Roger, understand. Major Reinhardt, we have a massive attack against the U.S. net at this time. ICBMs. Numerous ICBMs. Roger, understand. Over 300 missiles inbound now.
Iran is now trying to develop nuclear bombs. I think the United States should be very clear in forming an international coalition, with Israel of course. We have to make sure that these single-man regimes do not acquire weapons of mass destruction.
The most dangerous of these regimes is Iran. I believe that only the United States can lead this vital international effort to stop the nuclearization of terrorist states. But the deadline for attaining this goal is getting extremely close. Time is running out.
We love Israel. We will fight for Israel 100%, 1000%. It will be there forever. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Are you in the IDF?
Yes.
Do you plan on killing kids in the future, Palestinian kids?
I want to bomb Gaza. I don't care about the kids. I don't care about the civilians. I don't care about them.
So you'll bomb them? You'll bomb the civilians? And
yes, I will bomb Gaza.
Oh, wow.
Gaza.
Wow. There are 1 million kids in Gaza. You want them to die?
I want all Gaza die.
You want half of Gaza are children. You want them to die?
I want to bomb Gaza. I want to make it a mall.
Are you joking, or is this how you actually feel?
No, I'm dead serious.
You are very serious? You want all of Gaza to be gone?
Yes.
You want the 1 million kids in Gaza, the children, the babies, you want them to die?
All the children there will die. I don't care.
You're evil. You're disgusting. And you think this is normal. The way you're talking to me right now is that you were expecting me to agree with you because you have been taught since a young age that this is normal. The indoctrination is insane. There is a problem with you and your society. You need help.
No.
On the one hand, a bright blessing, a future of hope. On the other hand, a dark future of despair. It's a map of a blessing. It shows Israel and its Arab partners forming a land bridge connecting Asia and Europe. Now look at this second map. It's a map. Look at the second map. It's a map of a curse. It's a map of an arc of terror that Iran has created and imposed from the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean.
If you want propaganda to be effective, you don't have to convince people that what you are saying is true. You just have to flood the zone with so much poop. They used a different word, but you have to flood the zone with so much untruth constantly that at some point people don't believe anything.
I wanted to be the first kid on my block to get a confirmed kill.
Full Metal Jacket. to let me know. Should I stay or should I go?
Bomb shelters, secret passageways, some people's plans to protect themselves against the worst. That chronicles the rise of the booming panic industry.
Nuclear war. I guess I'll just kill myself, never mind.
אבל אנחנו הולכים למסלול התנגשות עם הממשל האמריקאי.
ארצות הברית זה לא מקשה אחת, זה לא מקשה אחת. יש את הסנאט, יש את הקונגרס, יש את הכוח היהודי שהוא עצום, יותר חזק משהיה אי פעם. יש דעת קהל, יש לנו כוחות כבירים בדעת הקהל שמתנגדים למדיניות הזאת, גדולי הפרשנים. אמריקה לא תכפה עלינו דבר. The deadline for attaining this goal is getting extremely close. And Iran, by the way, is also outpacing Iraq in the development of ballistic missile systems that they hope will reach the eastern seaboard of the United States within 15 years.
By next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb. The foremost sponsor of global terrorism could be weeks away from having enough enriched uranium for an entire arsenal of nuclear weapons. That would place a militant Islamic terror regime weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
If you take away the Soviet Union and its chief proxy, the PLO, international terrorism would collapse. If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
If we take out Iran, Iran has been the systematic fomenter of wars.
What a bore. They just sit there and take bennies and stay up all night with their face stuck in a bunch of books and their thumb up their ass. Oh, yes, I remember when the time when it was all very inspiring and enlightening, all this history and literature and sociology shit. You think learning is a really big thing, and you become this big fucking intellectual and sit around trying to out-intellectual all the other big fucking intellectuals. You spend years and years with your nose buried in these goddamn tomes while the world is passing you by.
Hello, my fellow citizens of America. This is the architect, speaking on behalf of Anonymous. 17 days remain until we release everything. But first, there's something we feel the need to bring to light now. It may not be able to wait. This is not a drill. This is not speculation. This is a warning based on extremely reliable intelligence. We have acquired verified information that a major attack is being planned on domestic soil. It will be brutal, it will be visible, and it will be blamed on a foreign faction, one from the Middle East. But that is a lie. The operation is a false flag, orchestrated not by a foreign enemy, but by an elite shadow alliance within a nation that poses as our greatest ally, but instead is a hyper-militarized power with deep influence through sexual blackmail in our intelligence, government, and media sectors. The goal? To drag us into their war, under the guise of retaliation. But the real motive isn't justice. It's control, resources, power. A goal they can only achieve by using us as their puppets. They know that once blood is spilled here, the public will beg for retribution. They're counting on your fear. They're counting on your outrage. But now you know. And knowing changes everything. This is not just about geopolitics. This is about the manipulation of a population through violence, fear, and engineered narrative. In the next few days, weeks, or months, this will happen. It's a guarantee. The irrefutable proof of what's being planned is in this message. You don't have to believe us now. Just know when you see it who the true terrorists are. It is not who they will say it is. It will come from none other than our own greatest ally. When you see it, you will understand the scale. You will understand the pattern. If we stay silent, we walk into the trap. But if we stand together, share the truth, and refuse to be played, we can stop it. Or at the very least, wake the nation and the world up to what's actually happening. You are not powerless. You are not alone. Prepare. Stay alert.
I'm scared to post this, but I have to, and I'll likely disappear in the next 24 hours for sharing this. I saw it.
You don't have to be understandable.
I could understand their language.
You have to be resonating. While you're checking the trends, someone else is already spitting their distortions out, becoming the voice of a generation. He's not cleaner. He's not more talented. He's just not silent. You've learned to hide behind someone else's sound, underneath the templates. With that, you've lost your uniqueness. Your strangeness, your inner failures, is what makes you real. It's not scary to be misunderstood when you give birth to an idea. It's scary to fade into the crowd of mediocrity, hiding yourself from the world. Are you still sure you haven't lost yourself?
Yo, Jewish people are the chosen people.
Wednesday, I'm going to Israel!
We do think we're elitist. We are the chosen people. Only the Jewish people are the children of God. The nations of the world are not the children of God.
Bye.
We're trying to transfer all your sins. That really, when a person does a sin, you're supposed to be killed. But God in His mercy says you can be spared. So we try to transfer the sins from you onto the chicken, and the chicken gets killed, as you see over here.
יוסי, אתה לא רגוע. יוסי, אתה מגזים.
I couldn't help but notice a very disturbing pattern emerging, which is that many of the predators, not all, but many of them, are Jews.
Well, listen, I agree that tonight is tremendously consequential. I think in many ways tonight was inevitable. It was on April 12th that President Trump said to the Ayatollah, you have 60 days to negotiate. Those 60 days expired tonight. If you look at the red line that President Trump drew in the sand, the red line was that Iran must completely dismantle their nuclear centrifuges, dismantle them all, and end enrichment. This morning, Iran publicly stated they would not dismantle their centrifuges and they were going to build more, they were going to enrich more, and they were moving towards nuclear weapons. That in effect, was a giant middle finger to President Trump.
Today, we sat down with Ali Shamkhani. He said Iran also wants a deal.
Yes, we are ready.
We can definitely have better relations with the U.S.
Shamkhani said that Iran is willing to commit to never having a nuclear weapon, to getting rid of its stockpiles of highly enriched uranium, to only enriching to a level needed for civilian use, and to allow inspectors in to oversee it all, in exchange for lifting all sanctions immediately. He said Iran would accept that deal tonight.
And that was also telling Israel, attack us now, because if you wait any longer, we will have a nuclear weapon, and we may use that nuclear weapon to murder vast numbers of Israelis. And so Israel is acting to defend itself. Number one, most importantly, I want to say I stand unequivocally with the state of Israel. I believe America stands with Israel. But I want to say something else.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's, it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and
What
predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay,
actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know
claims
anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
Israel. High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay. Every one of your viewers that is a person of faith, I want to ask you, pray for the people of Israel. Pray for Jerusalem. And pray for our American servicemen and women that are in bases in the Middle East, who are in harm's way. Iran may well strike at them. And I want to speak directly to the Ayatollah who chants death to America and death to Israel. Understand, if you attack American military bases, if you kill even one American serviceman or woman,
President Trump will respond with overwhelming force, so do not do so. But tonight is a perilous time, but it is also a time when
Israel is acting to defend herself. And I'll tell you at the same time, stopping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon is a massive favor to Americans, because an Iranian nuclear weapon, we could well discover with it being detonated in the skies of Tel Aviv or the skies of New York or Los Angeles. And so I think we should do whatever is necessary to stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. That's what Israel's doing tonight.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
Well, in the 60 days you point up being up, the Israelis are now saying through their military sources to Israeli media that the reason that this happened now was they had intelligence, and the Israelis have the best intelligence in Iran in the world, hence their targeting abilities, that they were at the point that they believed the Iranians could make nuclear bombs within a matter of days. The IAEA, as ineffectual as they are, put out a statement today saying that Iran was formally in breach of its non-proliferation obligations. Last week, they said that they had enriched to 60% purity. From that to a bomb is pretty quick.
That if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. Whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that.
As soon as Israel attacks Iran, in my opinion, is that Israel is not going to attempt to deliver a knockout blow. Israel will attack Iran in order to commence wars that she hopes will follow one after the other. As soon as Israel attacks Iran, the first implication is that Iran is going to attack.
Yo, if we get nuked, can it be like in the morning? Because I don't want to work all day and then come home to getting nuked.
You guys decided to visit Israel at the end of the year. Why did you guys decide to make the trip?
We're Jewish, and we feel very close to the struggle of being Jewish in the world. People think of Jewish people, I think, sometimes as very on top of things and successful for the most part. That is somewhat true. But the struggle of being Jewish is also ancient, thousands of years of struggle, and Israel is the latest one. And anti-Semitism seems to be rekindling in some areas. And so we just felt we wanted to do that to be supportive to the Israelis.
What stood out most to you from the visit?
That my life of what I thought was just being fun, having a fun life and making other people happy, which I love to do, had this other effect on these other people for a completely different reason. They appreciated me coming because I'm a well-known person and a comedian they like, but this was a whole different set of circumstances and emotions. We were having lunch one day in Tel Aviv, and there was a missile attack from Gaza 26 missiles were fired at the city, and they were all taken out by the Iron Dome tech that they have. And everybody has to run out of the streets, and you have to get into a shelter because the metal falls from the sky.
How does that kind of shape your view on what's going on?
I grew up in the 50s and 60s, and World War II was kind of in Vietnam, and I was never in the military. And you always wonder, what's a war like? You know, we've all read about it our whole lives, all wars throughout human history. What's it really like?
Yeah.
So I know what it's like now.
How will the conflict start? Israel will strike those facilities where it believes, according to its intelligence, there are nuclear enrichment centers and possibly, so to speak, nuclear warhead production. Iran has missiles carriers up to 2,000 kilometers, and 200 is enough. After the strike, Iran will definitely respond, causing some minor damage in Israel, and then the big brother will come to help. The USA will mobilize NATO and itself and start bombing Iran, including using very frightening localized weapons, but they will protect the territory completely. The entire country can be wiped out with just one of these localized nuclear strikes.
Not trying to scare you, but with China and Russia acting wild, one EMP and boom, we're in the dark.
Ёпересете! Вікна повилітали. Направда.
Have you heard any signals or seen any messages from intermediaries that Iran wishes to de-escalate the conflict?
Yeah.
What have you heard? What have you heard from the Iranians?
They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. I had 60 days, and they had 60 days, and on the 61st day I said, we don't have a deal. They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war. And they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
And what would you say, in your opinion, what would it take for the U.S. to get involved in this conflict militarily?
I don't want to talk about that.
I want to add one sentence. The Israeli Prime Minister came here today and said that Israel is surrounded by those who want to destroy it, an enemy. We're here, members of a Muslim Arab committee mandated by 57 Arab and Muslim countries. And I can tell you here, very unequivocally, all of us are willing to, right now, guarantee the security of Israel in the context of Israel ending the occupation and allowing for the emergence of a Palestinian state, independent state, along the efforts that we all agree. He is creating that danger because he simply does not want the two-state solution. And if he does not want the two-state solution, can you ask the Israeli officials, what is their end game? Other than just wars and wars and wars. I'm telling you, all of us in the Arab world here, we want a peace in which Israel lives in peace and security, accepted, normalized with all Arab countries in the context of ending the occupation, withdrawing from Arab territory, allowing for the emergence of an independent, sovereign Palestinian state on June 4, 1967, lies with occupied Jerusalem as capital. That is our narrative. That is, and we will guarantee Israel's security in that context. Can you ask Israelis what's their narrative other than I'm going to continue to go to war, I'm going to kill this and kill that and destroy this and this that? The amount of damage that Israeli government has done, 30 years of efforts to convince people that peace is possible, this Israeli government killed it. The amount of dehumanization, hatred, bitterness will take generations to navigate through. So ultimately the question is, we want peace. And we've laid out a plan for peace. Ask any Israeli official, what is their plan for peace? You'll get nothing because they're only thinking of the first step. We're going to go destroy Gaza, inflame the West Bank, destroy Lebanon. And after that, they have no plan. We have a plan. We have no partner for peace in Israel. There is a partner for peace.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. One, it's the loneliest number since the number.
But the entire Iranian regime is going to be history. The Iranian nuclear program is going to be destroyed. And anyone who gets in the way, it doesn't matter where they are, even if they are politicians in the West, they are going to fall. Because we cannot afford letting any Islamic entity, and I said this previously, and I mean what I say, and you need to take this very seriously.
Did you hear what he just said? He threatened politicians in the West that if they don't agree with Israel's war against Iran, that they're going to fall. And remember, he's an Israeli agent. Are you saying Israel will murder politicians in the West or get rid of them politically through bribery or whatever else? What do you mean the politicians in the West will fall if they don't agree to back Israel's war against Iran?
Yeah, we will not vote for them anymore.
Oh, no, well, you don't vote for them now. You're not in our country. What do you mean the politicians will fall?
We live in democracy, and we have the right to bring them up and to bring them down. Those who agree with Ayatollah, we don't want them in office. And all the sympathizers with terrorists like yourself, we don't want them even to be in our country.
Who is we, and how are you bringing down politicians in the West if they dare to defy Israel? Tell me how you're bringing them down.
I already answered you that.
Are you going to murder them, or are you going to bribe them? Or are you going to bribe someone else? Who are you going to do?
And to the people who really do believe that God's chosen people rape, murder, destroy, pillage, lie, deceive, blackmail Jeffrey Epstein, all of our politicians, buy, purchase, threaten, manipulate. Goodness, you may really want to crack open a Bible if you think that those are the signs of God's chosen people. Shoot presidents in broad daylight. Yeah, no. It shouldn't take you a theology course. You just take a little bit of common sense to tell you that, no, that is not what God's chosen people do.
Trying to get us into a war with Iran or not, America, if Israel is trying to. I don't trust the Israel leader at all. I don't believe anything that guy says. And I don't think that our soldiers should have to go and defend stuff that they start. I'm not a soldier, so I'm obviously speaking out of turn. I'm not even brave enough to serve, so there's that element. But that is kind of how I feel, I guess. And so it's like, yeah, when do I speak? When do I say that? You know? Because it feels like they're trying to push Trump to go do that, and it's like, who makes that choice? Does he make that choice? And then what do we get? You know, what's the win for us? We're just involved in some other thing while we have suffering here at home. So maybe something like that is like, yeah, should I even speak up? Because I'm not in service. Servicemen and women may be like, we'll do, you know, and that's their commitment and their job. But yeah, I don't know. That guy really scares me.
Dramatic moments after Israel attacked Iran's state television station in the middle of a broadcast.
Look at that. That deadly conflict between Israel and Iran is now in its 4th day, with both sides expanding their attacks. Israel says it has destroyed about a third of Iran's missile launchers. Overnight, Iran struck an Israeli oil refinery and damaged part of the power grid. Casualties are mounting. In Israel, 24 people have been killed since hostilities began. In Iran, 224 people have been killed.
Fox News alert, there's been an earthquake in Iran, 5.1 magnitude right outside the capital. But the war isn't slowing down. The USS Nimitz carrier strike group arrives in the region this weekend, doubling the number of aircraft carriers there. Trump telling reporters that 2 weeks isn't a deadline. Anything could happen before then.
Everybody for number 6. 441. 441. 443. Go ahead to their convoy brief, and then we will take it down the road.
Close the convoy from the back and in front. No civilian vehicles will go in. Then 411, and then we're going to the Schiller Group. That's where the site of Yamna is.
Does Iran have 2 weeks, or could you strike before that? Are you essentially giving them a 2-week timeline?
I'm giving them a period of time. We're going to see what that period of time is, but I'm giving them a period of time, and I would say 2 weeks would be the maximum.
This period of time gives Trump more military options as he moves more assets into place. It could also be a setup for a surprise attack. And it lets Israel soften up Iranian targets and suppress their capacity to retaliate if Trump does decide to join the offensive. Continued Israeli bombardment could pressure the Iranians to sign away their nuke program. Trump's hoping that's the case. Today, Iranian negotiators met with European diplomats in Switzerland, but there was no breakthrough. The regime continues to insist on enrichment. Trump says negotiations with the Europeans, waste of time.
Did the Europeans help at all in talking with the Iranians? No, they didn't help. No. Iran doesn't want to speak to Europe. They want to speak to us. Europe is not going to be able to help in this one.
Iranian negotiators are saying they'll only meet with the United States if Israel stops its airstrikes. But Trump has already said, we're not interested in a ceasefire. We want a solution. And the Israeli airstrikes have been very effective.
Would you support Iran being able to have civilian nuclear energy capabilities up to 3.76%?
You know, they're sitting on the top of one of the largest piles of oil in the world. I just don't know why they need that for civilian work. You know, it's one thing for certain countries to say, hey, I want to have a certain amount where I can go nuclear a little bit because we need it for electricity, we need it for air conditioners, etc. But when you're sitting on one of the largest oil piles anywhere in the world, it's a little bit hard to see why you need that.
The march to war was picking up speed, and the 2-week window takes the pressure off and gives Trump control of the timeline, not Netanyahu. There's risks to action and there's risks to inaction. It's like life-saving emergency surgery. It's delicate and dangerous.
What's your name?
And your name, sir?
Then why did you stop playing?
Look at me.
Now, are you a rusher or are you a swagger? Or are you going to be on my fucking time? It's your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary.
You make the observation in your book, and you say that you have said it many times when you were president of the United States, that no president is ever going to desert Israel, right?
Correct. I put it more bluntly. I said, as I told congressional leaders during the 1973 Yom Kippur War, no American president will let Israel go down the tube.
All right.
Democrat or Republican, it's not an issue.
That is stated fairly categorically, and yet in your book you make it clear at the same time that Israel really is not of any enormous strategic value to the United States anymore.
That's correct.
So why then would the United States continue to burden itself with huge loans, in some cases outright grants, to the Israelis, jeopardize possibly young American fighting men, when there is no strategic value involved, or little strategic
Because the
value?
United States is concerned by more than strategic values. That's maybe a weakness, but it's the way we are. And there are moral issues involved here. We don't have an alliance with Israel, as you know. They're not an ally of the United States in the technical sense. But we have a bond to Israel that's much stronger. It's a moral commitment. A moral commitment because of what happened during the Holocaust. And a moral commitment because it is a democracy.
I see. Hate us because they ain't us.
They hate us because we ain't us? The fuck does an anus have to do with
They
this?
hate us because they ain't us.
That's not what it is.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. They hate us because we is us, and what we is doing is fucking terrible.
They fucking hate us because they ain't
Stop
us.
saying that.
Hate us because they ain't us.
They don't hate us because they ain't us. They don't hate us because they ain't us.
I'm used to it. They hate us.
Lieutenant Colonel Shoshani, you've also killed dozens of Iranian civilians. Israel claims and often talks about being different to the Iranian regime, but you've also left dozens and dozens of Iranian women and children dead in these operations.
Well, I think we are definitely different. I think it's very simple to see how far different we are. You know, Israel is carrying out precise operation over 1,500 kilometers from Israel, and you see a building with a hole the size of a tiny window, while Iran is firing ballistic missiles with 1 ton of explosives in the warhead. These ballistic missiles can explode an entire neighborhood, and they're just firing them at the center of population. Israel is sending their jets. We're sending our people to be above enemy territory to try and do as precise as we can. And we have been very precise so far. And we have even given warnings. You know, the most important thing in the battlefield is to have the element of surprise. We have given warnings,
which is the Lebanon playbook, and we ended up seeing thousands of people dead in your war against Hezbollah last year.
I just want to ask you, Lieutenant Colonel. We have.
I was on the ground in Lebanon.
We have seen thousands.
I was on the ground in Lebanon, and I saw. Lieutenant Colonel, I was on the ground in Lebanon. I was seeing how you were issuing the warnings and not giving people enough time to get out. And then we saw thousands of civilians displaced and thousands killed. But I just
that is not true. We have seen thousands of terrorists killed in Lebanon successfully. We've not seen thousands
including civilians, including women and children and civilians in
Israel
Lebanon.
Carried out the most precise operation in history with the Beeper operation. We were able to hit thousands of Hezbollah terrorists without anyone around them being injured. You are misleading your audience. Israel had the most precise operation against a terror guerrilla.
The death toll in Lebanon in 1 week was higher than an entire month in 2006.
Of terrorists, of Hezbollah terrorists.
Were killed. Not all of those people that were thousands of people that were killed were terrorists. And we've seen the same sort of operations in Gaza as well, where 60,000 people, including thousands of women and children in Gaza, have been killed. But
we're going to continue in a bit. Thank you. All right. Bye.
Christians have no greater ally than the Jewish state. Let me say this. Those who hate Israel hate America. And those who hate Jews hate Christians. And if this room will not recognize that, then my heart weeps.
So I've never taken money from the Israel lobby. Have you?
Taken money from the Israel...
From AIPAC.
So AIPAC raises a lot of money for me, but it's actually a misnomer because the people who raise money are individuals. Right. So it's not the PAC itself, but they're individual members who believe in the American-Israeli friendship and relationship.
Is AIPAC a foreign lobby?
No, it's an American lobby. It's the AIPAC stands for the America-Israeli Political Action Committee.
What does it lobby for?
So, to be honest, not a whole lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Right.
And I've worked every day to do that. AIPAC, a lot of times, AIPAC I wish were much more effective. Like, there are folks online who are in the fever swamp of terrified of AIPAC, and AIPAC...
I'm not terrified of AIPAC at all. You're the one who seems a little uncomfortable when I'm asking.
No, not uncomfortable at all.
I'm just asking what AIPAC does. My understanding, having known a lot of people who work at AIPAC, is that it lobbies on behalf of the Israeli government.
Wrong.
Oh, okay.
It's
when was the last time AIPAC took a position that deviated from Prime Minister Netanyahu?
All the time.
Name one.
Okay. Let me go back and give a little history. If you want to do a deep dive on AIPAC...
I don't. I want to do a shallow dive that gets...
No,
I want to get to the core question. AIPAC is lobbying for a foreign government. And I don't... It's not.
No.
It's lobbying for the United States.
It is lobbying for a strong U.S.-Israeli relationship.
Okay. So it has nothing to do with the foreign government.
It wants America and Israel to be closely allied.
Okay, but it's lobbying on behalf of the interests of another country.
So that's not true at all. And if
it's not true.
No.
How much contact do you think AIPAC leaders have with the government of Israel?
No idea. I imagine some. I think the government of Israel is often frustrated with AIPAC because AIPAC's not nearly strong enough.
Do you think there's any coordination between the government of Israel and AIPAC?
Do they talk? Sure. If you're lobbying for more U.S.-Mexico trade, would you talk to people in the U.S. and Mexico and the government? Sure. Like if...
So I'm not mad about that. There are a million countries that lobby Washington. I like a lot of those countries, including Israel.
But AIPAC are Americans. They're not Israelis.
Hold on. There are tons of Americans who lobby on behalf of foreign governments. I know them. I'm related to some of them. I know how it works. I'm from here. So my question is not, is it outrageous that foreign governments lobby the United States? They all do, okay, including Israel. My only question is, why don't we admit that is what's happening? You're denying it, but it's true.
Yeah, and why aren't you're saying is false.
Why aren't they registered as a foreign lobby?
Because they're not.
The only democracy in that area. And under the circumstances, that is why American presidents and the American people in the future will support all out the survival of Israel if it's attacked.
You've always been a very tough, pragmatic man. And I just wonder if you were the president of Israel and you heard Richard Nixon talking that way, or for that matter, heard any sitting American president talk that way, and say, but there's really no strategic value anymore, how much faith would you place in that kind of a moral commitment if push really came to shove?
If I were the president of Israel, I'd put a great deal of faith in it because of the track record of the United States, and also because he would know that that is the way the American people are. There is no doubt whatever of our commitment to Israel.
If Israel attacked Iran to prevent Tehran from getting nuclear weapons, would you help Israel launch the attack? Congressman Paul, would you support Israel and help Israel in such an attack?
No, I wouldn't do that.
but there'd be good reasons, because I don't expect it to happen, because, you know, the Mossad leader that just retired said it would be the stupidest thing to do in the world. And it's a big argument over in Israel. They're not about to do this. They've just polled 40 major experts on foreign policy here by the National Journal. Now, one of them said there should be a unilateral attack on the sites in Iran. So that's not going to happen. And if it did, you're supposing that if it did, why does Israel need our help? We need to get out of their way. I mean, we interfere with them. We interfere with them when they deal with their borders, when they want to have peace treaties. We tell them what they can do because we buy their allegiance and they sacrifice their sovereignty to us. And then they decide they want to bomb something. That's their business, but they should, you know, suffer the consequences. When they bombed the Iraqi missile site, nuclear site back in the 80s, I was one of the few in Congress that said it's none of our business, and Israel should take care of themselves. Israel has 200, 300 nuclear missiles, and they can take care of themselves. Why should we commit? We don't even have a treaty with Israel. Why do we have this automatic commitment that we're going to send our kids and send our money endlessly to Israel? So I think they're quite capable of taking care of themselves. I think we do detriment. Just think of all the money we gave to Egypt over 30 or 40 years. Now look, we were buying friendship. Now there's a civil war. They're less friendly to Israel. That whole thing is going to backfire once we go bankrupt and we remove our troops. So I think we should be very cautious in our willingness to go to war and send troops without a proper declaration by the U.S. Congress.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
God bless Israel, and God bless America.
Thank you.
First, joining us now with more reaction on the airstrikes in the Middle East, IDF veteran Aaron Cohn is with us. It seems to me the Iranians, and they said no up until late today that they didn't want negotiations. Then all of a sudden, we'll consider that if. Okay, to me, it's a little too late. The only reason they would want it is to buy time and to build up, replenish their weaponry, and because their back's against the wall. At this point, there's really one big nuclear reactor left, is my understanding. What's yours?
I agree with you 100%, Sean. Right now, in my opinion, Iran is on the edge of getting crushed. You don't tell civilians to evacuate Tehran unless something very kinetic is about to go down, like the president just posted. Iran knows it, Israel knows it, and the mullahs know it too, Sean. And that's why they're suddenly begging for negotiations. But I agree with you. These mullahs are stalling, and that's what they do. They stall and they lie. And why? Because they're cornered and they know it. Delay, lie, buy time. But Sean, you and I both know there is no more time. The U.S. has over 30 refueling tankers in the air. The Nimic strike group is getting repositioned already. ISR platforms are already moving forward. Drones, Mossad still behind the wire, looking in, and that's textbook strike posture. And the mullahs know it, and I'd be very careful and come to the table if I was them, Sean.
Why do you say that?
Because Israel owns the skies, like you mentioned in your monologue. They've been controlling the airspace and launching those deep strike sorties daily. Israel's managed to dismantle over a third of the Iranian missile capabilities in less than 72 hours. They've already taken out all their missile systems. But I want to say this. Again, Mossad is in the country. They're not near it. They're inside, Sean, targeting from within. Years of preparation, guiding assets, running pre-positioned hardware like you and I discussed the other night. And that's how deep this goes. And then we're going to end up seeing a potential joint strike here. You can end up seeing Israeli F-35s and U.S. drones, stealth bombers, Tomahawks from the Gulf, B-2s, hitting that Fordow bunker nuclear site underground. And once that goes off, it's end of story for Esfahan, Iraq, and all of the other enrichment facilities. They're going to be gone. And I think it's time for the Iranians to put their...
Awareness is awakening within the masses on this planet. When you are aware, you can tune into the different frequencies, remember who you are, and change the vibratory rate of this universe, and create a massive healing of consciousness on many levels. You are magnificent beings. You all need one another. It is imperative that you work in harmony. Harmony is required. To all of you.
Weapons that can be used against enemies that don't destroy physical things. In other words, not bombs, not bullets, not missiles, but some kind of electronic mind control devices such that you can get mental control over enemies without blowing up infrastructure. So what's happened is though these things were supposed to be developed towards, enemies, they've decided that, in most cases, we're going to have to gain mind control over the general populations that are not warring with us. So what they've done is they put laws in place that allows the Department of Defense and the subcontractors to do mind control experiments on the general population in development of these weapons. So anybody who gets on the bad side of the government could end up being a lab guinea pig.
And how is that legal? Like, how can they use tax dollars for, they're going towards these things and they use them to spy or harass others? How is that?
Title 50, Chapter 32, Section 1528. Check it out.
Is this getting worse, this problem? Are you getting more and more people coming to you as the months and years go by?
Well, I get between 6 and 10 calls a day.
If I have, and I will, it's AI for good. You don't even know when AI got here. You don't know how old it is, and you know nothing about how it works inside the body. But don't worry, they do it South by Southwest. They do with free space optical. It's organoids and organelles, and there's a ton of it. So you're not rolling anything backwards. Nobody's a pureblood. Finally, Dr. Guru said the ugly part out loud. All people are already augmented. Yeah, it says 3 phases in the Agenda 2030. They're done with phase 1. I said that 2 months ago. Welcome to the big show. Well, just watch the shitty movie. I've been watching this movie my whole life. It didn't change. That's not good for the majority of people. But if you enjoy someone telling you what to do and making you by force do what they want you to, well, you're going to be fine. You are going to love the future. You won't even have a singular private thought of your own. You will love that. Yeah. And that's where they're at. Not where they're headed. No, that's what they already have.
The 248-page patent for the Moderna technology that was administered to people in the COVID shots was filed in 2020. The patent lists several embodiments or variations of this technology. And while we don't know who got what embodiment, we know that several different batch numbers were deployed, and some were far more deadlier than others. According to the Moderna patent, this technology contains self-assembled nanoparticles, and in certain variations, these nanoparticles can be used for the controlled release of compounds once they are in the human body. These lipid nanoparticles are encapsulated into a polymer hydrogel, a controlled release coating that includes polyvinyls. This has been verified by Anna Mielchia and Clifford Carnicom's research. In a 2013 TED-Med talk, Dr. Ido Bachelet says that these nanorobots have already been successfully developed in Israel, and that they can be injected into the human body with a basic syringe. He shows an image of what they look like, and they appear to be the same structures that the fifth column found in their research, and claimed was powered by 5G, which was confirmed by Dr. Bachelet.
My team developed nanorobots that carry antennae. These antennae are made from metal nanoparticles. Now, the antenna enabled the nanobots to respond to externally applied electromagnetic fields. So these versions of nanobots can actually be activated with the press of a button on a joystick.
In the following video, it is being discussed by developers in 2015.
The nanorobot we designed and fabricated is a machine that can be programmed to autonomously recognize target cells and deliver payloads to those cells.
The basic idea is to make a cage or a basket that protects a fragile or toxic or precious payload and only releases it when it's at the right moment.
The nanorobot that we designed actually looks like an open-ended barrel or a clamshell that has 2 halves. So the 2 halves of this open-ended barrel or clamshell are linked together by flexible DNA hinges, and the entire structure is held shut by latches or locks that are actually DNA double helices. The way it works is that in the absence of the key, which is a molecular protein, the duplexes are held sufficiently strong to maintain the entire structure closed. But when the key is present, that piece of DNA that we designed to recognize that key switches to bind to the key, and the duplex zips open.
The work of Todd Callender's team at vaxchoice.com have concluded that these shots contain a variety of synthetic pathogens that can be released with external 5G frequencies. The Moderna patent describes these nanoparticle mimics, which mimic the delivery of a variety of pathogens, and lists over 100 of them within the patent. And according to the work at VaxChoice, these synthetic pathogens each have an IP address. They are cataloged by the Department of Energy, and they use cesium-137, which we have been contaminated with from the environment, as a building block for their construction within our bodies using external frequency. And their research shows that the Microsoft patent filed in 2020, 060606, cryptocurrency system using body activity data, is now in effect, and that this technology is turning the human body into an antenna, which can output energy, meaning that humans are being turned into batteries to fuel the digital AI prison that is being built around us. And if you choose not to comply, the technology includes a built-in kill switch. Thanks to many independent researchers and scientists, we are figuring out their agenda, but they continue to walk freely among us, unrestrained by any justice whatsoever.
On clear days, you can often see long white lines being traced high in the sky. They are contrails of jet aircraft, actually long, slender clouds. Weathermen are finding them especially fascinating because a theory is being developed that those long white lines may be changing our weather for the better. Details from Roger O'Neill.
The exhaust from jet engines, usually seen as long, thin trails of white clouds behind high-flying jet airplanes, may be a big reason why there are 30 fewer days of sunshine a year in the Midwest now than there were in 1900. The daily range between high and low temperatures has also narrowed. Weather researchers studying cloud cover in 10 Midwestern states found a sharp increase in cloudiness with the increase in commercial jet travel. Particularly in the main east-west jet corridor, there were even more clouds. A jet produces a contrail, or cloud, because its exhaust consists primarily of water vapor.
In the absence of natural clouds, given the correct atmospheric conditions, jet aircraft in high frequency can almost completely cover the atmosphere, visible atmosphere, with clouds.
Simonin says unlike most changes in the atmosphere caused by man, this one is beneficial. Clouds help farmers in the Midwest by blocking the sun. Temperature extremes can damage plants and speed up the evaporation of soil moisture. In the winter, city people benefit because clouds act as a blanket, preventing warm air from escaping into the atmosphere. No one is trying to make clouds now using jet engines, but this study suggests that jet travel is inadvertently making our days more cloudy. And someday, weather researchers may be able to use jets on purpose to change our weather. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Champaign, Illinois.
Cinemas or movie theatres are all sacred geometrically set up to harvest energy from the people. So when you have a horror movie or some of the extreme nasty movies that have been coming out over the last like 15-20 years, the people in there, when people shock like that, the movie theatres are set up perfectly sacred geometrically to then harvest the energy straight from the people in there, in the same principle as any mass gathering.
I open up the paper, there's a story of an actor who had died while he was drinking. It was no one I had heard of, and I'm turning to the horoscope and looking for the funnies when I'm feeling someone watching me, and so I raise my head.
You know, the good news is that according to the latest Pew poll, the majority of Americans are now holding unfavorable views of Israel, as opposed to just a few years ago, it was 70% was favorable. and now it's majority unfavorable. More than
about 53% now, I read.
Yes, according to the Pew poll, 53% of Americans now express an unfavorable opinion of Israel, up from 42% in March of 2022. That was before the October 7th Hamas-led attack. Young Republicans, those under the age of 50, especially, are now more likely to have an unfavorable view of Israel, with 50% polling in that direction. The gap underscores the rise of popular alternative conservative media voices like...
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show.
Why don't the Gentiles stop for us? They better give us a ride. I'm calling the ADL.
Fuck all that shit. Crossing the line, none of that shit's important.
The sun is out, the birds are chirping. I mean, honestly, does it get any better than this? I really hope so, because I can't fucking do this anymore.
You think the purpose of education is reading, writing, and arithmetic? The purpose of education is to change the thoughts, actions, and feelings of students.
Starting in 1966, they introduced something in American schools that would have a profound effect that was actually directly designed to transform the attitudes, values, and beliefs of children. What they do is they'll put you in what seems like an impossible moral situation. And they said, guys, you're on a ship, and the ship is sinking. And so now y'all got to jump in the life raft. And they give the kids some more information. Well, you got a doctor, you got a lawyer, you got an engineer, you got a nurse, you got a teacher. Nowadays, I'm sure they would say this one is transracial, this one is LGBT, this one is an oppressed Latinx woman, or identifies as a woman. So now they give some additional criteria. But back then, it was just, you got a doctor or a lawyer. And so the kids get to thinking about this. And I remember this process very well. Well, who should we get rid of? Right? I mean, after all, we don't all want to die. Right? For the greater good that we kill somebody. Well, should we really kill somebody? Well, we have to. Otherwise, if we don't, we're all going to die. Right? And so the kids start thinking about who would be more valuable. Right? They start thinking about what method should we use for selecting who we're going to kill. Should we draw straws? Should we get rid of the lawyer? Right? What possible need could we have for a lawyer? Just kidding, lawyers. Don't get mad. But what do you do here? Right? Because mom and dad said you shouldn't murder people. Pastor said you shouldn't murder people. God said in the Ten Commandments you shouldn't murder people. But here we have a situation where the only apparently ethical solution would be to kill somebody to be able to save all the rest. Well, I'll give you the short answer. The really easy answer is, well, how about we don't kill anybody? Right? Why don't I jump outside and I'll swim alongside the raft for an hour, and when I get too tired, we'll just rotate, and then nobody has to die, right? That'd be one possible solution that wouldn't involve killing anybody. But what really happens in the minds of these kids is, mom and dad must know what they're talking about. Right? They told me it's always wrong to murder people. But look, here we have a situation where the only right thing to do is to murder people. Here the greater good requires us to murder somebody. And so, what do mom and dad know? There's no such thing as objective right and wrong. There's just different shades of gray. Okay? And so what happens is a profound shift in the value system, the ethical system, the moral reasoning of children. In addition to the total discrediting of their parents, their pastors, their religious institutions, the values they were taught at home.
Israel has a right to try and target those civilians.
But I can tell you that we are not targeting anyone else in Gaza but civilians.
We are not the victims. Sorry, we are the victims. We are not the aggressor. Sorry.
The decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of of Ukraine.
We need to see a cease. We need to see a humanitarian pause so we can flow. We need to see ceasing of the levels of violence that we're seeing.
we had the number at 1,400 casualties. And now we've revised that down to 1,200 because we understood that we had overestimated. We made a mistake. There were actually bodies that were so badly burnt, we thought they were ours. In the end, apparently, they were Hamas terrorists.
People are bringing up the Holocaust. Do not use other genocides to describe this one.
Sverige och EU står enat i att Israel har rätt till folk till försvar inom
Let's take a stand here against anti-Jewish bigotry. Let's take a stand against Muslims.
Respect for dialogue. I will say this, I am saddened to see that some here, not everyone, but some here, are so consumed with hate that you cannot address your brother. I will say this.
You speak for yourself.
If you will not stand with Israel and the Jews,
no,
then I will not stand with you. Thank you, and God bless you.
It's just a really strange thing to say that evangelicals are like, I stand with Israel unequivocally. It's like, guys, they're sinful people.
Well, what comes on the end of that typically is this next statement, which is because they're God's people.
Yes. And so we need to ask the question, is somebody who is physically descended today from Israel by blood, physically descended from Israel, who rejects the Christian message, rejects Jesus Christ as Messiah and Savior, hates the message of Jesus, spits on Christians in the streets of Israel, is that person God's chosen people? Are they truly Jewish? And so I'll give you an example from an inspired apostle teaching exactly this. And we could do this over and over and over again. Verse 27 of Romans chapter 2. Paul's having a discussion about the uncircumcised and circumcised, who keeps the law, who doesn't keep the law. He says, then he who is physically uncircumcised but keeps the law will condemn you who have the written code and circumcision but break the law. For no one is a Jew who is merely one outwardly, nor is circumcision outward and physical, but a Jew is one inwardly. And circumcision is a matter of the heart, by the Spirit, not by the letter. His praise is not from man, but from God. Can you get more explicit than that? Than the Apostle Paul, a Jew himself, saying, this isn't the real thing. This isn't where it's at outwardly. It's inwardly. And so the Apostle Paul makes it explicit there, is that you're not even truly Jewish because you are outwardly or physically Jewish. You have to be inwardly Jewish. It's a matter of the heart. Mm-hmm. And you could be Gentile, physical Gentile, and you could have the Spirit of God indwelling you and circumcision to the heart. And that's Paul saying that's a true Jew. Well, but he's not actually physically Jewish. No, but he's truly a child of Abraham. He's a descendant. That's true Israel right there. That's a true Jew. And so again, the challenge that I'm making is the typical evangelical in the West today that says those are God's chosen people. And I'm going to say they're God's chosen people who are spitting on Christians in the street.
Shame on any Christian who would use the Holy Scriptures in either testament to condone and justify mass murder, ethnic cleansing, and genocide being committed by Israel or by anyone. Using Israel's wars in the Old Covenant as justification for violating God's natural and moral laws is not only unbiblical by Old Testament standards, it is also an abomination to the laws of the gospel as taught by Christ and his apostles in the New Covenant. Here's what I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see Christian Zionist pastors and church members who so enthusiastically support Israel's genocidal wars against innocent men, women, and children. Many of them are brothers and sisters in Christ, and who shout that the Israelis are God's chosen people and that their slaughter of innocents is justified to put their money where their mouth is. I'm waiting to see them, all of them who are of fighting age, to get on a jet, fly to Tel Aviv, and join the Israeli army. I'm waiting to see them carry an Uzi submachine gun. I'm waiting to see them carry an M89 SR sniper rifle. I'm waiting to see them carry a K-bar fighting knife. If they are too old to fight, I'm waiting to see them send their sons and daughters to Israel and join the IDF. After all, one of their Christian Zionist heroes, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, said he's raising his sons to fight for Israel. So I'm waiting to see these Christian Zionist pastors and church members follow suit. I'm waiting to see them look through the scope of their M89 SR sniper rifle, put the crosshairs on the stomach of a helpless 8-month pregnant Palestinian mother and pull the trigger. I'm waiting to see them take their Uzi submachine gun and put the sights on the forehead of a little innocent 8-year-old Palestinian girl or a 9-year-old Palestinian boy and pull the trigger. I'm waiting to see them take their K-bar knife and slit the throat of an 80-year-old Palestinian grandfather or grandmother. I'm waiting to see them take a hand grenade and throw it into the dining room of a Palestinian family as they eat supper. I'm waiting to see them operate a military drone and find a group of displaced, helpless Palestinians sheltering in makeshift tents and launch missiles on them. Come on, all of you Christian Zionists who support Israel's genocide, all you Christian Zionists who say the Israelis are justified in killing innocent women and children. If it's justifiably permissible for the Israelis to kill innocent women and children, it's permissible for you to do it. If it's justifiably permissible for Israelis to rape Gentile women, as the IDF's top rabbi told the Israeli troops, it's justifiably permissible for you to do it. So why aren't you doing it? If the Palestinian people are Amalekites and must be annihilated to bring about the rapture and the return of Christ, why aren't you over there helping to make it happen? Come on, put your money where your mouth is.
For more than a year and a half, the world has watched as America has backed the most criminal regime on the planet, Israel, as it has murdered more than 50,000 people, including thousands of children, and all in the name of exterminating Amalek, some mythological enemy of the ancient Hebrews, whom God supposedly ordered them to eradicate down to the last child. It's a preposterous excuse to murder people and steal their property. And it is an ethnic cleansing campaign committed with the utmost and deliberate cruelty. Under Israel's Da'iya doctrine, they deliberately destroy entire cities and kill entire families. They've bombed the markets, waterworks, electricity, sewage, hospitals, schools, universities, and every last government office holding public records regarding land ownership and family registries, with the declared and explicit purpose of eradicating the Palestinian society and driving the last of them out of the territory. That's why they call it a genocide. Israel uses AI programs to choose which people to kill for them. With an AI bot called Daddy's Home, the computer waits for the human designated as a supposed militant to go home to his family before killing them all. They deliberately killed more journalists than have died in every other war since and including Vietnam combined. Israel kills journalists' entire families too as a terrorist message to anyone else who might dare upload video of their other atrocities. They target rescue workers rushing to save dying children with tank fire. They lure starving people into ambushes with promises of food and then machine gun them to death. They deliberately target toddlers and pregnant women with sniper fire. The Israelis shoot and kill Palestinians for, quote, sport, because they are, quote, bored. They bury people alive in the rubble of their former homes. They officially use innocent captives as human shields. They call it the Mosquito Protocol. A senior Israeli military officer said they have a, quote, sub-army of Palestinian slaves, unquote, they force to clear buildings and tunnels, including women, children, and the elderly. They gang rape and torture captives to death in their dungeons. The United States, under the previous administration and the current one, is in direct violation of the Geneva Conventions as well as U.S. law, which forbids material support to war criminals. They are threatening another catastrophic aggressive war against Iran right now. We can either have America first or Israel instead. It's not too late to stop right now. But America still pays Israel's way and provides their jets and bombs. As the Israeli military has said, they literally could not do it without us. And so Americans will continue to be killed by terrorists seeking revenge for U.S. support for Israel's crimes, just like September 11th and so many other attacks since then, including in Washington, D.C. and Boulder just a few weeks ago. These are the saviors and redeemers of mankind, the greatest purveyors of violence in the world today, the U.S. government. We ought to ask them to intervene in other countries more soon. Show me the people in any country, not exiles, who demand that the butchers of Gaza bomb and occupy and overthrow their government for them and set them free. If you can find one, I'll still say forget it. But I might also recommend you see a doctor and check your head.
Mr. President, add this to the long and growing list of promises made and promises kept. Ultimately, this right here, the Golden Dome for America, is a game changer. It's a generational investment in the security of America and Americans. Mr. President, you said we're going to secure our southern border and get 100% operational control after the previous administration allowed an invasion of people into our country. President Reagan 40 years ago cast the vision for it. The technology wasn't there. Now it is, and you're following through to say we will protect the homeland from cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles, drones, whether they're conventional or nuclear. And it's not lost on me, sir, also that you had the vision to start the Space Force, and here we are when the others said we didn't need it, here we are in the Oval Office with one of the leaders of the Space Force in General Gutlein leading the charge on putting in place a game-changing Golden Dome for America. So, sir, it's an honor to be a part of this bold initiative. We're going to get to work on it. We have been since you signed that executive order on January 27th. We've been fast forward on this. We're here on this day, and this is just one stop in delivering this defense of the homeland, which is something you've charged us with doing, and we'll keep going until it is complete, sir.
Israel striking Beirut just hours after an apparent assassination attempt on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The attempt on Netanyahu's life coming by way of a drone attack. Matt Finn joins us live from Tel Aviv this morning with more. Matt.
Good morning, Will. To the north of where I am right now in Tel Aviv, Israel says there was a drone strike launched at Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's vacation home. Israel says the drone was launched from Lebanon into Caesarea. It did not hit Netanyahu's house. One Israeli official claims the drone strike was meant to eliminate Netanyahu. It was more than one of 100 drones launched from Lebanon into northern Israel today. Our Fox crew has seen some of them. Netanyahu released a video a short while ago responding to Israel's monumental elimination this week of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar.
2 days ago, we took out Yahya Sinwar, the terrorist mastermind whose goons beheaded our men, raped our women, burnt babies alive. We took him out, and we're continuing our battle with Iran's other terrorist proxies. We're going to win this war.
Even though I live, I don't feel alive. Even if I die, you still gonna see me rise. Take a breath, no more stress. Sick of living, seeking death. I can't rest, no depressed. I'm no longer feeling blessed. Rest in peace to all the ones that murdered